We got a monster waiting in the wing. The newest edition of the UCSS family. We're going to bring in our next guest after a quick word from Amazon Fire TV. Did you know that your Fire TV can also be an Xbox? You can turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and you're ready to play. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It is gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. It's available on select devices, including the Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and the Fire TV Cube. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in Ross Tucker to the show, the host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. You can find him on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, and he is also now a contributor to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ross, how you doing today? We're thrilled to have you on the team.
I'm fantastic. What's up, fellas? How are you guys doing?
Bro, we're pumped to have you part of the roster. I mean, we've I don't know if you're aware, but this show is we're going into our. Are we finishing year 3 or year 2?
Our 3-year anniversary is May 9th.
Okay, that's amazing. But we've really added to our roster, and we've made some really nice additions, and we are extremely pumped to be adding you to the family. So welcome. We look forward to your insights and your expertise throughout the football season. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know that you've probably been talking more about Shedeur Sanders the last couple of days than you ever thought you would at any point in your life. But I saw your hit on Patrick. I thought it was tremendous. I want to drill down on, I don't really want to get into the story about, you went there to talk to him and he wasn't available and you went back and all that. I think, fans that wanted to see that probably saw that. I want your overview, your 30,000 feet view of the Browns taking Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I really like it. I really like it. I'll tell you why. When I look at the Browns roster right now, I think they're probably the worst team in the AFC North, and I think that they have an uphill battle to make the playoffs. So for me, I don't see why, guys, they would spend a lot of time, quite frankly, with Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett this year. And I think when you look at the way they drafted and the trade that they made with Travis Hunter to get next year's first-round pick, to get those 2 second-round picks, right? The way I look at it is they're trying to do everything they can to make sure they can find a franchise quarterback. I think it's perfectly reasonable to give Dillon Gabriel 6 or 7 starts this year, Shedeur Sanders 6 or 7 starts this year. Find out what you have with both of those guys. Ideally, one of them looks like they could be the guy. And you're really excited about it. If not, that's why you have the 2 first-round picks next year. It's thought to be a better draft for quarterbacks next year. There's, you guys, I don't know if you talked about the names yet, but Nussmeier and Lenora Sellers and Drew Aller, which I thought was interesting, by the way. On my show this week, Dane Brugler, who's a Northeast Ohio guy, he came on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, and he said he thinks there's a pretty good chance the Browns would have taken Drew Aller from Penn State this year with the number 2 overall pick, which I live in central Pennsylvania. I watch a lot of Penn State football. That surprises me a little bit. But ultimately, Jay, hopefully this will be the most long-winded answer I ever give in the history of the Ultimate Cleveland Show. But the net result is they're trying to find a quarterback. They have more assets for next year. But I say give Gabriel and Shedeur both a bunch of games this year. Take them for a spin, see what they can do. Hopefully one of them's awesome. If they're not, get the hopefully long-term guy next year.
No,
Man, that I was going to ask you about the competition, but looks like you already took care of that for me. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. I hope you guys have happy trails. But no, to me, I like the competition. There's been some things in the last couple of years where there's been rumblings where people were just given the jobs in camp, and there was people hurt. We were trying to keep people intact. Talk about a little bit when you do have some competition in camp, because I'm a big competition guy. I want to see everybody compete, whether it's the two running backs that they got, Judkins or Dillon Sampson. I'm looking forward to some of this competition and how this competition kind of breed some pieces that you may not have known you had.
Yeah, and by the way, just as an aside, I don't think that the Browns are going to do what I just said about Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. They might, but my sneaky suspicion is that they would start the year with whoever plays better between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. Perhaps trade one of those guys or the other guy that doesn't win it to a team that wants a better backup quarterback at that point. I think they're not going to go in there and start the year with Dillon Gabriel because they don't want to look at Myles Garrett and look at so many of these guys, Joel Bitonio, and say, yeah, we're going with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders for your last year, Joel. Good luck. Have fun. I don't really think they're going to do that to start the year. I think they'll give this group a chance to win games, a chance to get off to a good start. But listen, I totally agree. It's the most important position. Andrew Berry said it. Why not put a bunch of different guys in there and give them a chance, see how it shakes out, right? You clearly don't have the long-term guy. At least don't know if you have the long-term guy yet. So I like the chance to see a bunch of those guys starting games this year. The other thing I like, and you guys probably disagree, I don't know, but the way the Browns went about the draft, and in particular the Travis Hunter trade, it tells me that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are operating under the belief that they're going to be there in 2026.
I said the exact same thing, Ross.
Yep.
You don't make that trade. If you think you need to win this year to keep your job, you don't make that trade. You take Travis Hunter.
Yep.
You're not getting the 2026 first round pick for the next guy. You're not trying to put the next GM in a position to succeed.
Right.
So the point I would make is I actually give Jimmy Haslam a lot of credit for that because I think most owners are more impetuous than this. Listen, the Deshaun Watson trade, nobody had a problem with it, okay? The Saints, the Falcons, all these other teams wanted to do it. The Browns got him. It was a disaster. I actually give Haslam credit for saying, you know what, and maybe it was his idea, I don't know, but for him saying, you know what, I actually think Andrew Berry and Stefanski are good at their jobs and could have these jobs for a long time. They're smart guys. They've done a lot of positive things. The Watson thing was a disaster, but just because the Watson thing was a disaster and they made one horrible decision, whoever made it, we're not getting rid of those guys. I give them a lot of credit for that because that was a very, very smart trade they made in my mind.
Yeah, they got a haul for sure. Overall, we had this discussion earlier. Actually, I'll come back to that. Nick Chubb is an interesting spot right now. I know we're going to talk about this later in our show, but I really wanted to get your thoughts on that. Nick Chubb, if there's ever a guy who has fan base equity and franchise equity, it's Nick Chubb. He's not under contract. The Browns drafted not one but two running backs. Is there a world, Ross, where you see Nick Chubb comes back with this football team? And if so, what do you think he will be a year removed from the ACL?
So I absolutely love Nick Chubb like everybody does. I actually called the U.S. Army Bowl when he was a senior in high school. And by the way, you see him lifting there. The way he looks, guys, I'm not kidding. That's how he looked in high school. Like that's how his body looked. I remember looking at him before the game. I was like, this guy looks like an NFL running back right now. Like this is what the guys look like. Incredibly impressive.
Look at this.
So that's an interesting thing as it relates to being a year further removed from the injury. I think the Browns would like to move on. I don't think that they believe that Nick will ever get back to where he was. That was a devastating injury that he had occur. And I think that they don't want to have him on the roster, no matter how much he would cost, with fans clamoring for him to be out there.
Right.
I think they want to find kind of the next Nick Chubb, and I think that they think that very possibly could be Quinshon Judkins.
Boy, that video, Mike, that video was all recent, right?
Yeah, these are all recent workout videos from Nick Chubb. Yes.
I just find it hard to bet against that guy. And I know, Ross, what you say is logical.
Well, and Jay,
he's
you know
illogical.
This. Yeah, no, Jay, just you know this. Like, just because you can lift a lot of weight, right?
No, I know.
And it's incredibly impressive, that doesn't mean he has the same juice. And I ask you, they probably also think there's an injury risk there, or a re-injury risk, and a little bit of a liability. I'm not saying no, but actions speak louder than words. They haven't re-signed them yet, and they drafted 2 kids.
Right.
It's pretty clear that they think it's time to turn the page.
Yeah, I agree.
Ross, you can come on every day as far as I'm concerned, because you are speaking my language, and I feel like I've been yelling into a forest about trading down, getting the extra pick, quarterback next year. They're not going to be very good this year. I agree with everything you said. It's like a breath of fresh air to finally have somebody agree with me on this. But
what does everybody else think? I mean, like, did everybody else think the Browns are going to the Super Bowl this year? I mean,
well, Ross, that mentality is a rebuild mentality. Yeah, but Ross, that mentality is a rebuild mentality, and it is the smart thing to do. But what are fans, if nothing else? Irrational. We don't want 3 years. We want next year. So we have, this is our history, we have made it our jobs to rewire our brains to think that, well, if we take a wide receiver at the number 2 spot, suddenly all of our ills are fixed and we're going to win the Super Bowl. That's what Browns fans are. And we need a rational voice in the room. So thank you, and Jason, thank you.
No, and I can appreciate that. Okay, listen, I grew up outside of Philadelphia. Nobody's crazier than Eagles fans, right? Like,
yeah, that's a fact.
I get it. Like, I get it, but the Browns recognize you have no shot, especially in the AFC, of really doing anything of consequence until you have at least a top half of the league quarterback, right? It's like, that's why. So it's interesting to compare and contrast you guys and the Steelers, right? The Steelers are waiting for a guy to say he'll play for them that doesn't really want to play, right? Like, if it's May and you don't know if you want to play or not, you don't really want to play. And yet the Steelers are waiting for Rodgers to officially say he'll play. And what is the upside there, guys? Like, that the Steelers maybe, I doubt it, by the way, but maybe win a playoff game? I mean, if you've watched them the last couple of years, they're not beating the Bills or the Ravens or the Chiefs and those quarterbacks in a playoff game. So let's talk about the Browns, okay? Let's say that Flacco finds the Stefanski magic from 2 years ago, and Flacco plays pretty well. They still have an average roster, so maybe you win 9 games, maybe 10, and make the playoffs, and then don't win a game. Is that really what you guys want? I think what you really should want is to do whatever it takes to try to get the franchise quarterback like they did with Watson. It didn't work out. It stinks. I hate it for everybody in Cleveland because I've said forever that you guys are the best fan base in the NFL because there are Browns fans everywhere. You guys are the most insanely loyal people. I mean, to be as loyal and diehard as you are with how little you got. I would love to see your portfolios because you guys get the worst return on investment of your team.
That is the line of the day.
Insert tariff joke there.
Oh, Ross, you nailed us. I don't know how you know the fan base so well. I know you did spend a little bit of time here, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I had a glorious month in Berea, whatever it's called. I got traded there by New England, Belichick, for a conditional 7th round pick. There is no higher honor, by the way, in the NFL. 7th round pick. After LaCharles tore his knee up, I started the last 3 preseason games. I played fine. If I was going to start the opener against Reggie Bush and the Saints in 2006, they cut me on final cut day, didn't keep me as a backup because my salary would have been guaranteed. they traded for Hank Fraley, who had more starts at center than me. And I went into Phil Savage. I'm like, "You're cutting me?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, this doesn't make." I said, "Phil, you traded for an average guy. I came in and I averaged the crap out of my performance. I mean, I was as average can be. And now you're going to cut me? Don't trade for average and then cut me when I delivered, baby. I delivered."
You set the bar, you jump over the bar, you should stay.
Yeah, you can't trade for a guy. He brings exactly what you thought you were trading for, and then you cut him. How does that make any sense?
Ross, we'll just add that chapter to the book, which is 8 volumes, on big career decisions that they went the wrong direction. That's one of many that the Browns have made a living at doing that. Mike McNuggets has a question for you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mike.
Ross, outside of the quarterbacks, who was your favorite pick the Browns made in the draft?
Well, so I love Mason Graham, but if you want me, so I'll say I thought the Browns had an awesome draft, right? Like Mason Graham, that is exactly what Schwartz wanted. That's exactly what they needed. I often argue, guys, I think after quarterback, I think D tackle is the second most important position in the NFL.
Wow.
I played O-line. I love O-line. Miles is amazing. Edge rushers. The quarterbacks get it out so quick so often now. They do such a good job of stepping up in the pocket. You need an interior rusher, which hopefully Mason is for them. Everybody I talk to has a man crush on the Schlesinger guy. You know what's crazy? I did UCLA Hawaii for CBS in the season opener last year. He didn't even start. I don't even know where this guy came from.
Wow.
I was talking with this Kane Madrano guy and Oladejo. This guy came out of nowhere, but people love him and have a crush on him. I think it's interesting they took Judkins over Travion Henderson. I would not have done that. But I will say, Fannin, there were a lot of people that were fans of Fannin. So I think it's very reasonable that their first 4 picks all start. You guys look at, and by the way, then they got 2 quarterbacks after that. You look at NFL drafts, it is rare to get 4 starters. And I know Fannon's not going to start over Njoku, but I mean like as a 2 tight end set, it is rare to get 4 starting caliber players in one draft. I think it's highly likely that the Browns just did exactly that.
Wow. Very impressive. I'm going to bet that it's a Princeton shirt, which is, I believe, where you went to school. But maybe it's a Browns shirt. Yeah, it's a Princeton shirt.
Now, if you guys notice,
I didn't notice. Where's the Browns helmet?
Hey, let me get
I didn't ask for my helmet. I didn't ask for my jersey. I wanted nothing. I didn't actually play a regular season game for them. It's funny, though, because I'm starting next to Andruzzi and Kosi Coleman, and we're playing against quarterback was Charlie Fry. We're playing against like Tommy Harris and Tank Johnson. It's like I played for the Browns against really good players because that's back when guys played in the preseason.
Yeah.
But because I didn't play a regular season game, didn't want my helmet, didn't want my jersey, I don't even bring it up. When people say, what teams did you play for? I say Redskins, Cowboys, Bills, Patriots. I don't even mention the Browns. Didn't exist.
All right. Cool. I noticed you got 2 Redskins helmets back there.
I like that.
I mean, now.
Yeah, so that one, the one, I can't even, which direction am I pointing? Okay, that one over there,
that was
one
a cool
is
helmet.
Gosh, why am I, whatever. So that is the coolest helmet I think I've ever worn. The old school Redskins, like reunion helmet or whatever, anniversary helmet, kind of looks like Florida State almost.
It does.
Yeah, it
It's like
does.
the
Right.
Jorgensen, Billy Kilmer Redskins. That helmet's sweet.